Hey guys, this is day 16. So we talked about in the previous video about your immediate needs for papers, because your fourth pocket is papers. And so I was talking about some things you're going to need immediately, things like identification, medical cards, access to financial instruments like credit cards and cash. Those things are really, really important. Even having a statement for your bank account, those are all important. But what about your other critical documents? What about other things that are really important? Well, I want to mention this to you. I have seen it far too often where people try to jam in every single possible financial document that they have into their disaster backpack. Don't do that. There's no reason to do that. So you should have it on a thumb drive and then have it on your laptop, which is then backed up in the cloud. So put it in the cloud somewhere. Even if your laptop and your thumb drive are destroyed, it's still accessible in the cloud. So you can use, Dropbox or, Google Drive or one of those. It doesn't matter. Just always have those backed up. One of the things that also happens is people try to just suddenly take pictures and put them on their cell phone. I say don't put them on your cell phone, because that is a single point of failure. If something happens to your cell phone, all of a sudden you're in really big trouble. So if you have it on a thumb drive, on your laptop, and in the cloud, now there's 3 places where it absolutely is going to remain and you don't have to worry about it. And a lot of these documents I'm going to talk to you about are pretty simple things, but frankly, I'm not going to be able to think of all of them. You really have to think of them yourself. The question I want you to ask yourself anytime you have a document you're wondering whether you need it or not is, if I don't have the document, is that going to severely cripple my recovery? So in other words, if I don't have my deed to my house or my lease or something, is that going to be something that is going to prevent me from recovering effectively? If the answer is yes, then get that document. One of the things that happens all the time that I say to people is have your insurance policies. You don't have to print that out. I mean, I have insurance policies and I don't print any of them out. I don't want to chop down a rainforest for those, but they go on the thumb drive, because in case of a disaster, there could be insurance implications. We get that, so we need to have the insurance policies available. So absolutely. Other things to keep are other types of financial documents, deeds, medical records. You don't need to print out your entire medical file and stick them in your disaster backpack. That's unnecessary. You don't need to print out every single thing you have. The one document that is medical related that I do recommend that you print out and you keep is all the medications that you're currently taking. Keep that list and put that in there. The other thing I recommend also is any advanced directives. When I was a first responder and I was responding to an emergency at, say, a skilled nursing facility, when I would arrive there, I would talk to the nurses as we were going to the room, and I would ask them, does this person have an advanced directive? Because that's really important for me to know. The other thing to put in there are things like that should be digitized, or anything regarding personal documents like lines of succession or last wills and testament. You don't have to print that out, but just keep that on a flash drive so it's easy for you to find. And again, something in the cloud. Those should be documents that should also be placed in an office like an attorney. For example, if you have a will or you have stated guidelines for how you want your estate handled, there should be other documents not only in the cloud. A lawyer's office should have a copy at all times. I can't emphasize this enough. That must be there as well, because I can't tell you, I've heard of a number of instances where people had them and they said, well, who is this? I can't read these signatures of who was there. I don't know if this qualifies or not. If it's at a lawyer's office, it's always there, and succession can happen because, hey, we know that the worst could possibly occur, and if it does, and if your heirs are the ones that have to pick up these documents, it has to be easy for them to access. Also have areas for passwords. I will be doing a video about how to handle your digital future and how to deal with succession issues, because there's so much that goes on the digital space that you've got to be aware of. But that's the stuff to keep on the flash drives and in the cloud. It's not something you have to carry around with you. Please don't do that. These are longer term documents. You're not going to need them immediately. You don't need your insurance documents that day. They're things you're going to need long term. But if you have them in multiple places, you can easily access them without sticking them all in your backpack and cluttering room where you could otherwise be putting critical tools you're going to need in a disaster. This is Disaster Patrick, and remember, prepare for a disaster and you'll never experience one.